Thank you very much for this very section. And I do hope you have gained a lot of understanding from the various topics we've been discussing. So far, we began with understanding the worldview of African traditional people, and then we proceeded to look at the foundations upon which, when we talk about African traditional religion, what it is actually based on. And we looked at 5 basic elements, that is belief in the supreme being, believe in the deities, believe in ancestors, and then believe in spirit, and then the practice of magic, and then medicine. These are the basic 5 elements upon which African traditional society's understanding or worldview is based on. Then we went on to look at some practices that were, particularly when we look at worship in traditional African religion, we look at the concept of worship and what constitutes worship, what are the components that are brought into the sense of worship. Then we proceeded to look at specific elements of worship when we talk about worship, again, in traditional African society. So we look at rites, and then we look at rituals. The form worship is dispersed or displayed when it comes to some of these ritual or rite ceremonies. And then we proceeded to look at other areas. So today, specifically, we are going into a more specific area where everything we have learned also come to apply, and we keep on appreciating in terms of our knowledge into traditional life or traditional philosophy when with regard to African life. So today we are looking at morality and justice when we come to traditional African society. What is meant by morality? What is meant by justice? So we want to understand some of these issues regarding to morality. Now, when we talk about morality, then of course we are talking about the concept of ethics, And when it comes to, so ethics basically it deals with rights and wrongs, what a society regards as wrong, what society regards as right. And every society has some underpinning concept of morality, what they hold as good, what they hold as bad. And every culture, including Africa, has that. And then when we come to ethics or morality in African traditional religion, then we are talking about the notion of man or human beings, anybody being a man or woman. You are never alone. You are born into a society. So society is regarded as a series of interrelationship. And within this interrelationship, each one contributes to the welfare and the stability of the community. So one person does not live in a community. Several people engage in a community. Several people live in a community to ensure that life continues. Life is encouraged. Life is participated in. Your contribution makes up for another person's contribution. So all of us are benefiting from the very community that we are supposed to engage in. So we contribute to the welfare and then the stability of the community and avoid that which is disruptive or harmful to the community's life. So since you do not live in the community alone, you live in communal relationship with other individuals. You are to watch over your life, watch over the things you do, so that you make sure that your actions and inactions will not disrupt or will not harm the community life in general. Because you alone in the community, then you are alone. But since you are not alone, other persons are living in the same community with you, and you are to ensure the harmony that is within the community continues. That is why the famous philosopher, African philosopher, John S. Mbiti, will have to say in his famous book, African Religions and then Philosophy, which was published in 1969. In that book, he said, I am because we are, and because we are, I am. I am because we are, and because we are, I am. So it is actually telling us about the way we live together in community. No one lives in isolation. We live together. No one lives in isolation. So in traditional African society, you will not hear words like me. You will not hear words like I. There is no reference to such individuality. You will hear words like us, nothing like mine, but you hear ours, we. You will not hear things like it belongs to me. You will say it belongs to us. So they talk in reference to the rest of the people that live within the community. So no one individual is able to live. So that sense of togetherness, that sense of the we feeling is what actually call the individual's attention to how he should live within the society. And since one individual or one person cannot exist alone, but except in cooperation or except corporately, every member of the community is expected to act in such a way as to promote always the good of the whole society. No one can exist alone. And since you cannot exist alone, then you have to ensure that the good of the society, the good of the rest of the community continues by way of relating well. By way of relating well. How do you relate well? Your character, your conduct. So every individual member of the community is supposed to act in such a way as to promote always the good of the whole body. The good of the whole body. That is what ethics in traditional African society refers to. That is what it refers to. So ethics in traditional African society refers to what a person does, right, in accordance with the norms that have been established in the society, and how the person keeping these norms contribute to the welfare of the entire community. It is important that the individual gets to know and acts accordingly for the continuity of the community. So at the same time, if a person misbehaves inappropriately or goes contrary to whatever are the norms of the society, what happens is the person brings calamity upon himself and the family, that is the immediate family the person is coming from, and to some extent to the extended family, or even to the lineage or the entire community. So doing things contrary to the community does not affect only the individual. It extends beyond the individual. So to avoid the shame that a person's misdeeds will bring to the community, every individual within the African community tries to live a good life. Because you know that if you don't live a good life, it has a retributive effect, not just on you, on the entire family. And this is what brings shame, not just to you, but to everyone that is associated with you. So if an individual member of the community violates any of the traditional ethical norms, which are referred to as the taboos, such as adultery or stealing, these are taboos. So taboos are prohibitions. They are things that are prohibited in the community. And adultery is one of such. Stealing is another. Once you engage in these, the consequence of such actions are that it can have an immediate effect on you, on your family, and everybody even around you. So what are the ethics that we are referring to, as I have mentioned? They are the codes or the set of principles that everyone is expected to live by. So you live by those codes, those ethics, then you can avoid shame in any family or in the community. So it is good. So morally, we say you are moral in an African traditional sense if what you are doing contribute to the interrelationship, to the progression of the interrelationship of the community, right? So the relationship, the fellow feeling continues without any problem. It's just like, for instance, marching in steps. As we are marching in steps, and whilst marching in steps, you know that each one is taking, is following in the order by looking on to the one in front of him. So as we are marching in step, we say one person, for instance, falls out or just fall down in the steps. What happens? Those that follows the person will also be, they'll be delayed, or they'll be slowed down, or it will cause a stir such that the steps will be scattered. So every individual member in that steps will be alarmed, or the entire group will be scattered. That is what happens when we talk about disruption, when we talk about evil. So the moment a person commits an evil, it affects everyone. It affects not just the person, but every member within the group. Now, when we talk about evil, we are not talking about evil from an internalized, from any external force, right? That is not what evil means within the African concept or the African traditional society. Evil does not come from an external force. But when a member in the society lives contrary to the norms of the society, then the person is sinning. That is what is termed in the Akan language, or that's the Chi language. He has sinned. So sin here is not coming from an external force, but sin is going contrary to the norms of the society. And when this sin enters the midst of the group, it brings disruption. Just like the example I've just cited about people marching and one person falling out of the line. You fall out of the line, either you scatter the entire line or the entire line is slowed down. It doesn't smoothly move, it doesn't move on smoothly as it began from the beginning. So there's a disruption. That is what evil is. So let's see some of the examples of evil that can disrupt the entire community, the individual, the immediate family, the entire community as a whole. It includes rape. So raping a man, raping a woman, it is regarded as evil, sin in traditional African sense. And anybody who participates in rape brings a curse not just upon himself, but upon the rest of the family. Murder, killing has a recursive effect on everyone. Adultery, gossip, etc. Let's say, for instance, when in some African cultures, when an individual engages in adultery, or a woman engages in an adultery, what happens is sometimes the woman receives punishment in the form of death, sometimes swell in the stomach, and to some extent, the woman, both the woman and the child die at birth, or the husband may also die. So many people can be included in that process. So that is the reason why every individual within the African traditional community is urged not to go contrary to the norms, to the laws of the society. Because once you go contrary, justice will be done. And justice can take many different from which I will be looking at shortly. Can take different forms. And for correction, that have to be made for the evil to stop, it will be made. So they can be done at different levels, which we'll look at. Gossip. So you have men gossiping about others, women gossiping about, is looked at as evil. And traditional folks do not condone on that. They do not condone on that. So when you are talking about morality in African society, you are talking about order, following the order of the society. And following that order is what brings life, sustenance, mutual growth, mutual sharing, and progression in the wider society. Everybody benefits from that. So this brings us to the idea of justice, what is meant by justice. Now, to talk about justice, the first thing we need to become abreast with is how society is viewed within the traditional purview, the traditional life, how the traditional society look at life in general, how society is formed. When it comes to society, religion, and then religion, economics, sociality, everything is merged as one, is seen as one. There is no dichotomy between what is sacred and what is secular. No, everything is closed up as one unit. So whatever you do within the religious, you do and refer to it as secular, has a recursive effect. It has a ripple effect on the religion, on the economics, on the social life, on the social structure or structure. Everything is affected. Life is seen as one. And this is disclosed within the kinship systems that we have in Ghana. So let's look at the Akan, for instance, the kinship systems of the Akans, when we are referring to our part of the world, Ghana, for example. The rulers and authorities are regarded as both political figures, religious functionaries. So you cannot do anything against the authority of the king or the chief. The reason is their authority is perceived to have been derived either from the supreme being, from the gods, or from their ancestors. And these need an obedience. They need to be revered in such manner. So if you would disobey a king, or you conspire against a king or a chief, it is seen as a crime, both against the gods and then against the society, and you'll be dealt with accordingly. You'll be dealt with accordingly. That is when you come to the traditional African sense of life. Life is not compartmentalized. Life is wholly presented as one. There's no sacredness, and then there's no secularity in life. Everything is seen as one. So you cannot offend the king in that regard. And everyone did everything to stay in communion with that. Now, the Akan people believe that God is very fair and he's a just God. He's fair and he's just in all regards. And because he's fair and he's just in all regards, the Akan have it in their maxim that since God does not like wickedness, he gave each creature a name. So you are identified by your name, such that whatever evil is conducted or inducted by you, you are held responsible. So one person does not do evil and it is blamed upon blamed upon another person. No, you are held responsible. So you have your name to show that you are responsible to live a just life within the society. Very important and very, very important. This is what keeps the society thriving. Every individual contribution keeps the society thriving. And everyone is invited to make sure you live well. You live well for one reason, for the well-being of the society, for the contribution of the society. So if you do evil, it is sanctioned. And every evil that is sanctioned as evil you do not go into it. Right? So there are codes. So what we referred, or I referred to earlier as taboos or practices, the customs that are based on religious laws that you do not do. They forbid you. They restrain. The aim is to restrain the individual from engaging himself or herself in any forbidden or criminal action. So criminal action, forbidden actions, you engage in it, it brings, as I said earlier, an effect not just on you, but on everyone. So the taboos are what are to measure to ensure individuals are restrained from going overboard, so that they do not just endanger themselves and endanger others in addition. You don't do that. So the codes or the taboos, they are sanctioned, or they are sanctioned against prohibited acts. I've mentioned a number of them, which include adultery, murder, rape, incest, burglary, so that's stealing, seduction, sodomy, malice, or breaching a covenant, or becoming untoward towards your parent. So if you become untoward towards your parent, there lies evil. There lies evil. And these act, or you speak against your ruler, your king, or you take an oath falsely. You take oath falsely or false oath, you will be punished accordingly, because they are all regarded as criminal actions. But you are not just punished just like that. You are investigated. And sometimes they are not investigated because they believe that justice can take different forms. Justice can be done spiritually and it can be done physically. When it is done spiritually, it can take the forms like long suffering, in the form of insanity, madness, impotency, impotency in men. They will not be able to have any sexual relationship with their wives. They can also have incurable diseases such as elephantiasis, swelling scrotum, blindness, and lameness. All of these. That is why when you go among the traditional folks and you fall sick, you have certain kinds of diseases. Quickly, they say it is an act of the gods, or it's a punishment of the gods, or there are certain form of deaths occurring in a particular family. The mother died, the father died, the children are beginning to die. Sometimes the children beginning to die, all the children die, then the relatives begin to fall in, then the parents. Quickly, they would know that there is an action that somebody within the family, that particular family, has committed that is bringing such deaths. You have certain kind of sicknesses, you say it is an act of punishment from the gods. Probably you have done something. You have done something. And sometimes when it happens like that, you can be killed. That is why you hear some people are stoned to death, some people are killed as a result, and some people go mad. Some people go mad because the gods, that is, the gods as well as the ancestors, are not excited about that sort of behavior. So they will sanction a form of justice against you. So you do any evil, you will be judged accordingly. You will be dealt with accordingly, and you will not be left to go unpunished. So this brings to the idea of trying to classify the seriousness or the levels of sin, the levels of evil, when it comes particularly among the kinship systems of the Ashanti groups in Ghana here. Among the Ashantis, evil is divided into two groups. We have what we refer to as the household cases, which are referred to as the private offenses. Private offenses are called ephism, household cases, household issues. They are the private cases, ephism. Then we have cases, or we have some level of evils that are hated by the entire tribe. Everyone in the community hates that. Everyone. It's known as public offense. If you should commit any of that, you'll be dealt with. They are referred to as the Oman Ichwadi. Oman Ichwadi. These are the public offenses. And the public offenses have also been classified. So we have seen tribal taboos. The tribal taboos, they all fall under what we call the Oman Ichwadi, the public offenses. These include murder. So a woody. So if you commit murder, that is a woody, then you'll be sanctioned publicly because you have committed a sin or evil against the entire community. The effect is not just you, the individual. The effect includes you, your immediate family, your clan, your community, and even the entire nation. It has effect. That is why in Ghana, it is believed that many of the unjust killings that have gone on in Ghana are affecting the entire nation. So we hear of the atrocities of the June 4th, the atrocities of the 31st December related issues, Rawlings. These are all tailored towards Rawlings, not just to him, all coup leaders in the Ghanaian society, the blood they shed, the people they killed unjustly. It is believed, in the Ghanaian society believes that all of these have kind of effect on the nation. So the reason why the nation is not growing is as a result of some of these unjust killings, murders, political murders, community murders. And almost every government, political government that are established in Ghana, share blood. And so oftentimes you will hear traditional folks praying to the gods for pacification, or you have Christians praying to the supreme being through Jesus Christ, that some of these washings, cleaning can be done within the society. And sometimes you will hear folks like the Aglo, the women Aglo, the women wings, prayer wings, that will be calling for national reconciliation, national consecration, national call to a call of that is national repentance. People should repent of the sins of the fathers. So these things are believed strongly to have effect upon the nation. So murder is not taken lightly. Is not taken lightly within the Ghanaian society. And so Amanda Santis, murder is a very serious thing. And if you commit murder, you are dealt with at the national level. The national level, we are not talking about the modern political nation as Ghana, but we are talking about the Ashanti Kingdom is a nation. It's a nation. You are talking about the Anglo Kingdom is a nation. You are talking about the Gan Kingdom is a nation. These are all nations in themselves. So the sins that affected the entire nation are the ones that I'm talking about. The entire Ashanti Kingdom are the ones that I'm talking about. Talk about suicide. So suicide are not common issues that Ghanaians really engage in, because they know if you commit a suicide, it has effect on the entire society. These are some of the reasons why, no matter the suffering, the level of suffering Ghanaians are subjected to, we don't hear of much suicide cases, even though once in a while you will hear of some of these issues. But when a person commits suicide, it is more like it's even more than having committed any huge or atrocious level of evil. Your community, your immediate family, nobody wants to associate with the immediate family of the disease. Nobody. And then there are certain forms of sexual offenses that are also public offenses. For example, having sexual intercourse with a woman in the bush is against the land at Sasia, and it is a gory act. It is an evil act which can cause the land goddess to stop rain from coming to the earth. Can stop that from coming to the earth. So that is not encouraged. Young people are told never to do things of this of that nature, of couples to go to the bush and say, oh, we are going to the farm, and have any kind of sexual appeal and begin to do that, you will bring a curse on the society, even though you are married. Because it is a sexual intercourse in the bush, it affects not just you, it affects the land. And the land goddess will punish that offense. You can have both partners died, killed, anything can happen to them. And then there are certain forms of abuses that are also sins against the nation. There are certain kinds of assaults, kinds of stealing. So if, for instance, you go to somebody's farm and then you pick onions, or you pick, let's say, okra or garden eggs or a few tomatoes for your home, such stealing is not regarded as stealing. It's regarded as the person probably being hungry and then taking a small harvest and then sending it home to provide food for himself and then the immediate family. Such forms of stealing, they are pardonable. And even you, the owner of the farm, if you should catch such a person, you did not treat him or her as a thief. But in the event that the person had gone with an intent to harvest your crops, to go and sell, then you know such a sin is an evil against the entire society. You cannot enter somebody's farm with a huge sack, not even a sack, sacks with you. The moment you go with a container huge enough to carry large sum of foodstuff from the person's farm, is regarded as stealing and is against the nation, will be dealt with. But let's say you are just picking these items in your hand or in your cloth or in your pocket. These are not regarded as stealing, because if it's stealing, you should take much more than that. And you cannot just go picking it. For instance, farm animals, you can't just catch somebody's goat and then go. Once you are caught, it is regarded as stealing, because this is a whole animal big enough. You can't carry it as something small for you and your immediate family's enjoyment. No, it's stealing and you'll be dealt with. That is why I said certain kinds of stealing. So the kinds of stealing that are punishable, that are sins against the nation, are the ones that I'm mentioning. Then the invocation of a curse upon a chief. If you invoke a curse upon a chief, is regarded as sin and you will be dealt with. Treason and cowardice are also punishable. Witchcraft. You will see that in most African society, witchcraft is a big thing. And I've told you, witchcraft is one of the huge element, cultural events that Africans fear a lot, whether they go to church. Let me tell you, when people go to church and they are praying against evil, Satan, who is beguiling an act or beguiling them or projecting evil against them, they are not seeing Satan as an extraterrestrial being that they cannot see. They see the Satan we are talking of in the form of witchcraft. So Ghanaians in general, Ghanaians and Africans in general, do not like anything related to witchcraft. If you say this person is a witch, the person will be lynched immediately. That is why we have witch camps littered all around the African continent. We will talk about our own Ghana in the northern region, the witch camp at the northern region. Unless nobody brings a charge of witchcraft against you, you'll be arrested and be kept in the witch camp and be dealt with. You'll be beaten. Sometimes you are denied food and you need to make your confessions to the community over and over. People fear you. And even sometimes the family, the immediate family is feared. Nobody wants to really have anything to do with the family. So to tell somebody that the person is a witch is a very serious thing in Ghanaian context. It's very serious in an African context. So these are some of the things, the laws of the land have been well tailored to take on, so that people will not take advantage of others and be calling them witches and etc. But in the Nakan society and in general African society, if you are caught as a witch, you won't survive. You'll be killed. It's a serious thing, and you'll be punished for it. The violation of any other recognized taboo, you're not supposed to go to fishing. Let's say among the guns, you're not supposed to go to fishing on Tuesdays. And then among the Asantis or Akans in general, you're not supposed to go to the farm on Thursdays. And you do that, it's a violation. It's a clear violation of the taboo of the community. It's a sin against the entire community. It is a public sin, and you'll be dealt with. Breaking a new or command, enjoined by the swearing of an oath. So you swear an oath, which is a false oath, or you'll break an oath that you have just sworn. It is a sin, and you will be dealt with. Then we have what we call the household cases. The household cases, which I've referred to, include the ephism. The ephism include thefts, which in Ashanti included adultery and certain sexual acts. So if you cause an adultery, or yes, if you are caught in an adultery, you have stolen someone's property, and that is an ephism. These form of sin or evil, they are not punishable by death or by or what do you call it, banishment or etc. Oftentimes, they are dealt with at the family level by the clan head who will sit over such issues, and the punishment can take certain forms, which I'll mention to us shortly. Then there are certain kinds of abuse, including slander and tail beating. So slander, if you are caught to be slanderous, you'll be brought before the elders and be warned. Sometimes you'll be beaten, sometimes you'll be charged, or you'll be fined to pay certain monies to those that you slander or gossiped against. Then cases regarding property. If there are cases regarding property, you borrow money from people you do not pay, they are regarded as ephism. And these forms of evil, they disrupt the community. They disrupt the community. They break relationships down. And so they are not encouraged that people should borrow things from people and not return them or not pay back if it's loan that they secured. So pawning, loans, shortship, and recovery of debts, they are all ephism. So if you owe somebody, you are supposed to pay. If the person keeps coming to you, you keep running away, keep telling your children to keep informing your debtor that you are not at home, the day you are caught, you are dealt with, you are fined, and you are made to settle those debts. These are very, very important issues that need to be taken seriously. So if you commit the household, you commit what we call the household sins, that is the ephism, you are made to pacify those that you sin against. You are made to do that so that the injured person can be satisfied to forgive, and then the relationship is mended, and then friendliness is restored, because the continuity of the family is very important. It's very important. Now, there is this, let's see how important, for instance, the Akans have this to say, these maxims to say, onipaye de. Onipaye, the human being is sweet. So if we are translating directly, that is the transliteration. Human being is sweet. Onipaye de. When you talk about onipaye de, among the accounts, you are talking about solidarity, right? We should hold ourselves together. We are one people. We are not to disengage the family. We are not to disengage ourselves. We are supposed to live in unison, because no one lives in isolation. That is the reason why it is important when these ephism levels of sin or disengagement are that is the household sins or evils are committed, people are encouraged to make sure that they drop them, and then they are fined, or sometimes they are made to go and apologize. If all of these are done, What they are doing is to build the solidarity together, the oneness together, the fellow feeling together. Then there's also the maxim that say, in sabako enkra adeswa. That is an Akan proverb. In sabako enkra adeswa. That is, one hand cannot lift a heavy load. One hand cannot lift a heavy load, to show that unity in unity is strength. But this unity can be destroyed if we are taking, or if individuals within the community are taking others for granted, and they are not doing unto them what they are supposed to do. It brings a whole lot of problem. So we are supposed to keep that unity, Another maxim have it to say, Onipa enye nwura. A human being is not weed or thrash. A human being is not weed or thrash. In other words, there is value for everyone. So solidarity is very important. Unity is very important. Because if you are a bush, or you are a thrash, or you are a weed, you won't live among the livings, or you will not be close to humans. We know where leaves are. We know where weeds are, or thrashes are. They don't belong to where human beings are. So we are supposed to be human, because we are not weeds, we are not trash. We need to value ourselves, value others, and do unto them the way we want them to do unto us. These are some of the things, the importance that have been stressed within these proverbs, and it is important to heed to it, follow it, and take them seriously. So in general, all that I am showing us, or I am relating with you, is for you to know that for the society to hold together, the individuals, the indigenes, need to live well with one another within the society. So they need to abide by the codes, the orders, the prohibitions, the things that the society discourages. They need to shun them. They need to walk away from them. If they do not shun them, then they are endangering not just themselves, they are endangering the entire society. If you are committing homicide, you are endangering not just yourself, but the entire society. If you are stealing, if you are committing adultery, if you are involved in witchcraft, if you are involved in all forms of treachery, you are not just endangering yourself, you are endangering the entire society. And all crimes will be punished. And everyone is expected to live well with one another within the society. And so if you don't do it, the gods will punish, or the supreme being will punish, or the ancestors will punish, or you may have in some cases, the leaders of the community will gather together to punish you or banish you from the community. So you are talking about the concept of justice, then we are talking about any individual who go contrary to the society will be severely punished for their misdeeds. For their misdeeds. And I've mentioned it earlier. It is not always in the physical sense. Sometimes it is in the spiritual sense. It meant that the offender may have to die. And if the offender may have to die, it demands that the king will be involved in that judgment. And sometimes you are killed by the gods themselves. You are killed directly and killed. So more often, a person who is paying for his or her crime pays for the misdeeds economically through fines. So if the misdeeds, your misdeeds demanded that you pay fines, you'll be fined, and then you pay for it. And so here you are paying for your misdeed economically. You can also pay for your misdeeds socially through banishment. You can pay for your misdeeds socially through banishment. So you'll be banished from the society and you will have nothing to do with the society. And you are not encouraged to come back. You are not encouraged and you cannot come back. The day you are caught, you are dead. And sometimes too, you are punished through deprivation of personal freedom in various forms. including consignment to slavery. So the reason why slavery was rampant in traditional African society, some of these are these results. If they find you to be a deviant, they consign you to slavery. They consign you to slavery. So African concept of justice is a mechanism put in place to maintain peaceful coexistence and to promote strict adherence to ethical values and taboos within the society. So such is what we have learned, and this is what we refer to as the African sense of morality and justice. Thank you very much for listening. We'll meet again sometime in our subsequent section. Bye for now.